Hello, I'm Mark Goldbridge, and my new podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football, is out now. Check it out in the video description. We're here to definitively solve all the problems of football. We'll be discussing bad pundits, bad opinions, the lot. Check it out on Spotify or whatever podcast you listen to. Links in the description. You've asked for it. It's out now.
Let's move on to flop of the season. Many could say Onana in that category, judging on the performance against...
Come on.
What? I'm just saying what social media... I'm not here to give opinion, Mark. I'm just here to feed you.
We all know social media is full of crap.
Is it?
And most of my viewers. I want to retract that statement. It's full of brilliant opinion and the occasional crap. It's a bit like... anyway, let's move on. We're going to go with... Well, I don't think you can go... When you're talking about flop of the season, I don't think you can go much wrong by picking a Chelsea player in the last 12 months. That tends to be the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I've only got a couple to offer up here. I don't know whether you've got any.
No, go on, you start.
I've got Disasi at Chelsea.
Okay.
Heavily linked to Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said, he's 25 years of age. I don't know anything about him. Now, that's very weird for a veteran of Championship manager and Football Manager to not know about a 25-year-old French centre-back. Not that that's my speciality on Mastermind.
Yeah.
French centre-backs in their mid-20s. More French supermodels in their mid... I'm joking. Yeah. But no, I don't know much about this player. And I think if he'd have come to United, that was always a red flag.
Right.
25 years of age, don't know much about him. So I'm putting him in there. And I've got to put in... I've got to put the open goal choice in. He'd miss it. Havertz.
Do you know where I'm going to go with this?
Go.
Obviously, you putting the definitive stake into this, but I'm looking at Manchester United, and I'm worried, and I don't want this because I'm a positive person, and I want this move to go well.
He's Brighton.
I want this person to do well, but I'm looking at Mason Mount. I just fear with the 7 on his back, the fee, and pre-season doesn't mean anything. But obviously, he got his feet in the muddle on that.
I've got to say, it's interesting that you say that because it is amongst the fan base. A lot of people would agree with you, which is weird for a new signing.
I'm not pandering.
I just look at Mason Mount and I go, I can't. I mean, I trust the manager and I hope he does really well and I want him to do really well. But every time I see him running around in a Man United number 7 shirt, I'm still seeing blue.
Yeah.
He's a Chelsea player. I can't. And this happened with Van Persie, and it took a bit of time. He's got to hit the ground running because he's got so many people against him already. It's a weird. I just think it's one of those signings that a manager makes, and it's a bit like Solskjaer and Maguire. It's got to work because there's so many eyes on it. And I'm not comparing Maguire to Mount in any sense, but it's got so many eyes on it. But you're not going to sway me on this. I'm going to Havertz.
As long as, and I know I mentioned pre-season, but as long as you're not judging Havertz for the skills competition he did in the MLS, as long as you're not putting it
He's
all
already
down to
got it
that,
if we go with that.
Yeah.
Couldn't hit the ocean from abort. No, I think that just a few others I'd throw in there is, and I was looking at the community tab for this from some of your suggestions. Szoboszlai was mentioned. I mean, he's an unknown quantity in the Premier League. I think that Vardiel got mentioned because of the value of it. It's a lot of money for a centre-back, but I actually think he's pure class. I think when you're looking at flops, you are looking at, it always tends to be the high value players as well.
Yeah.
And I think Havertz at 65 million. Look, I trust Arteta, not because I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm not, but I think he's a good manager. But that Havertz thing, it doesn't, again, it's a bit like their Mason Mount. And he doesn't, and it's funny, there's always a Chelsea connection in the flop of the season. You mentioned Mount, I've mentioned Havertz, Disasi. Flip a coin. I can't go Mount. I'm going to go Havertz on that one.
Okay, mate. Where do you want to move to next? Obviously, we had your Premier League prediction video, which came out.
I'm happy to talk
Three
about
Madry Mark, but there were some predictions that we sort of left off. We've done signing, we've done flop, but the final one I wanted to look at was first manager to be sacked.
Yes. Well, I think we're both in agreement here that it's going to be Pep. He's going to get battered by Burnley.
Can you imagine if Pep left this season? It would be, I think football would end.
What, if he got sacked?
Yeah.
I'd love it.
I know you would love it. You're a Man United fan. He runs a Man United publisher.
Pep's been sacked. Oh no!
What a great shame.
Oh, what a horrible thing.
Imagine Pep gets sacked and then the next day...
He'd be off to Saudi. He's definitely the sort.
Imagine Pep gets sacked and then the next day Qatar gets announced finally.
He's definitely off to Saudi Arabia.
I don't think he's
going
to be a national manager.
He loves an easy job.
Oh, come on. Don't be slandering Pep.
He loves an open checkbook and an easy job.
Let's start with who's going to get sacked first. I think we're going to caveat this with
He'll leave. It's not sacking's not leaving, is it? Because I think we're both thinking about the same guy.
Yeah, well, we're both speaking about Lopetegui at Wolves. Yeah. Tough job, lots of FFP pressures. They're selling their best players. Known for sort of being so defensive. Nathan Collins has gone.
Play Man United on Monday Night Football. Give me the points now.
Stinks of 1-0 Wolves, that. So I think we're saying Lopetegui's going to go first. So who do we think will be sacked first? Who do we think's not going to live up to expectations as manager? The one I worry...
I'm not going to say what you said about Roy Hodgson because I think that's just horrible.
I didn't say. I said Roy's a great manager and he's wise like an owl. That's all I said. One I think that the pressure's going to build upon is who sort of didn't get away with it.
Spends most of the day asleep.
Is
like an owl.
Is Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Just because the owner there can be... He backed him last year, gave him the contract, and that was fantastic at a time when I think they'd had quite a few defeats in a row. But I just feel second syndrome in the Premier League is a real thing.
Second syndrome or second season syndrome?
Second season syndrome is what I meant to say. So I think Steve Cooper's in there for me, but there's some other names about. Who are you thinking of?
Yeah, I think that's a good one because in that first season, I think the Forest fans would have gone mad if they'd sacked him because he lost most of his team, didn't he? You get away with sacking him if they have a bad season this year. I think you always got to look, Luton could do it. Sheffield United could do it simply because it's the Watford effect, isn't it? Where you just sack somebody, but they were always going to be crap.
Yeah.
I think David Moyes is an interesting one if they have a bad start. I don't think anybody from the top is really in massive danger. I'm thinking like Poch or the Spurs coach or Jurgen Klopp or Brighton.
You say Poch, but like Ted Bowley, I mean, spent all that money on getting the whole of Brighton to Chelsea, only to sack Potter a couple of months later.
It could happen, but I think we're thinking here sort of first couple of months, aren't we?
Who's gonna get the knife?
You know what? I'm gonna go with your choice.
Really?
That you won't dare commit to. Because I'm going to go for a different reason. Roy Hodgson.
Right.
Because I predicted Palace will get relegated on my Premier League predictions.
Yeah.
So I just think that they've not done a lot in the transfer market and a few bad results for them down near the bottom. He was a short-term... I'm never a big fan of interim managers becoming full-time managers. And I know that's not really Hodgson's history, but he was brought in to keep them up. Oh, stay for another year. It goes bad. You're not part of the future. Bang.